This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted today to be joined by former English heavyweight champion Solomon Dacres here over Zoom. Solomon, really
Yeah,
appreciate your time. It's been a while since we've heard from you. How is everything? You okay?
yeah, yeah, all good, man. Just, usual life, training, same old stuff.
Just taking over. Let's just get straight into things and we'll get the negative part of the interview out of the way and talk about December. You had the long-awaited fight with David Adeleye.
Yeah,
Wasn't your night to be a stoppage defeat on the night.
yeah,
About about 5 months on now, I'd say. How have you reflected on it? What have you taken away from it? What's the mindset looking like at the moment?
yeah. Yeah, it's on mine. I mean, straight after it, I was just like, if you look what happened, I weren't beaten up over the rounds, or anything like that, getting out of box. I just got clipped on the top of the head early. For me, it was just one of those things in the moment. Just, it's heavyweight boxing. Strange things have happened, and just brush it off and go again. It's not really a big thing. It's not done anything to my confidence or dented me. I'm ready to get straight back in there, show how good I am. I've not really. If I didn't show any less of me, I just got clipped on top of the head, man, and it was just a little bit of a buzzer. And it's simple as that. Not really too pent up on it.
What were those few days after the fight like? Obviously, there's the frustration of losing, but then as you mentioned there, it was one of those ones where you didn't really get to show a lot, which is, I guess,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
one sense is like, okay, there's not really a lot to take away from it. But in the
yeah,
same sense, like you didn't get to show what you'd been putting the work in camp
yeah,
for. So what
yeah.
were
It's
the
just
few days like after?
it's like a disappointment, is it? Because I'm like, I know how hard I trained. I knew I was coming into there, better than ever. I know a lot of fighters say, it was the best camp I've ever had, but I was making a lot of improvements, and that was my time to show, how good I really am. And like I said, it didn't even get ignited to even show that. So, it's negatives and positives. Obviously, it didn't go in my favor, but like I said, it would have been worse off if I'd have been, getting out of box 5, 6, 7 rounds down the line, getting repeatedly hit. Then there'd be a lot of flaws to show. There's not really no flaw you can show. It's just a one moment, a funny shot, and there's not much more I can really say on it. You can't. It's never happened to me before, and no touch wood, it'll never happen again. It's just one of them.
Absolutely. Just looking forward for yourself. Has there been any discussions with Queensbury, S-Jam? What's next for Solomon Dacres? What's in the pipeline
Yeah,
for you?
I'm trying to get, onto my managers, Adam and that from SG. Just trying to push them to try and get me back out there. Simple as that. I know, get myself back in the mix. I'm still as capable as I was before that fight of getting to the top level and beating all these guys, domestically and above. I just need to get the opportunity to just get back in there and show it. Look how many fighters have, had losses, worse losses than that, been beaten, in many different ways, come back and been victorious. So, a little clip on the top of the head, a little, I was up after 4 or 5 seconds anyway. Little 5 second, um, because you call it lapse, or, little 5 seconds that didn't go my way. It's not gonna take away from all the years and the development that I've done. Um, it's just got to get straight back out there, hopefully. But I'm just pushing them to try and get me back out, show what I'm capable of.
Oh, so you mentioned pushing for a date. Is that a date with anyone in particular, or do you just want to get back in the ring and just get back in the swing of things
Back
and
in
then
the
time
ring, man.
to fight?
Anyone like I would have loved to have just got an immediate rematch. Weren't gonna really happen. Obviously, he fought TKV. Then he had another controversial victory there. I would have loved to have that fight. Would have we tried to. I would have liked to have a TKV fight as well. That was one that was could have been an option for me coming back after Adelaide, but you got the opportunity there. They're gonna rematch, so that's tied up a bit longer. But just getting back out there and anybody, to be honest with you, because I just need to get myself back in the mix, get back to the top. These months, like 5 months, has been now. I'm ready to go. If this was back in, like, like the 1920s, these man was fighting guys, and then the next few weeks of fighting again, they'd lose to them 3 times and beat them another 3 times after. You know what I mean? So it's just the day and age now is you're just waiting for these fights when the reality is I'm ready to go.
How does a fight between yourself and Fraser Clark sound? Obviously, we saw his comeback fight a few weeks ago, round one stoppage over Ebenezer Tete. Is that a fight you'd like, you versus Fraser Clark?
Yeah, yeah, these are like, domestic matchups that I need. Me and Fraser were the top two amateur guys for many years in the country in GB. So that's a natural matchup. Your top two amateur super heavyweights as an amateur heavyweight now. Top two amateurs for many years. That's a matchup there. And that's a top level fight. And that's something that obviously it's a good name to have on my resume.
What did you make of Fraser Clark's performance? Were you impressed with what you saw when he fought Ebenezer Tete?
What can you really say? That Tete is not really much copies. He comes out swinging, not technically great. He's not very good, and I think he just did what he had to do. Really, did what he had to do. Didn't really it was a first round. Didn't really show much more or less of what he's like at the minute.
And if that fight is next, how far down the line do you reckon that could come? Do you reckon we could see that fight this year in the summer?
Yeah, yeah, we could do. I just wanted a fight like now I'm training and that I want to fight. He's just fought the other week, so I'd like to just get a fight. I'd fight him next. Or but obviously he's going to need a few months. So the timing of things, I just want to fight now as well and as soon as possible, and then fight him. It could be this year, could be we just have to leave him managers. That's a good fight there.
And then you mentioned David Adeleye and Jamie TKV. We saw their controversial ending to the fight. Before the stoppage, who did you think was winning the fight when you were watching it?
Yeah, TKV was ahead. Like Adelaide wasn't really boxing or doing. He was just getting out jabbed. Really, he was just getting out jabbed a bit. A little bit outmaneuvered. There weren't much going on. Just getting out jabbed and watching it myself, I'm just like so frustrating because of knowing that if that TKV is out jabbing him and out boxing him, then what I would have been able to do is just been on another level. But it's frustrating watching it, and obviously it's for the British as well. It's like, oh man, that should be me really, but um, yeah, it's one of them ones.
What were your thoughts on the stoppage when it came around? And obviously, we know the issue's been resolved now, but in that moment
Yeah,
when you saw it, what was going through your mind?
but at the time I just thought he's been he's caught him, he's done him. In the clinch, naive. At the time, you thought maybe he's been naive in the clinch, but then when you look back and obviously he's shouting break and that, it's the interpretation of the break. Maybe the ref should have said stop boxing. He gave him a free shot, break, but that's why there's a rematch because there's so many questions about it.
How do you see the rematch going between David Adeleye and Jamie TKV?
Um, could be similar. Could be similar. Obviously TKB was out boxing, but now that Adelaide knows he hurt him. He wasn't like he hurt him with one and then finished him off. He might go for it a bit earlier. Might go for a bit earlier. Adelaide maybe. We have to see how it goes.
Fair enough. And then just sticking domestically as well, S-Jam's stable mate of yours, Johnny Fisher's got a big rematch with Dave Allen coming up. How do you
Yeah,
see that fight going, especially with what we saw from the first fight? What do you feel Johnny Fisher needs to tweak this time around?
yeah. He needs to just tweak a few things. Just get a bit more cute defensively. Um, and on the inside, not get caught with too many shots. And because Dave Allen's he's been in the game a long time. He's quite savvy. He knows little things like on the inside, tying him up, getting little shots off, catching someone when they're like in the clinches and out of the clinches, sort of thing. So I think Johnny's going to be probably more switched on to all of those little things. Um, but it was a good fight the last time, so it'd be interesting to see how he adjusts.
Do you think the 5 month turnaround, or probably by the time it's just under 6 months turnaround, is enough time for Johnny to build a game plan, especially when a lot of people said his weakness was the fact that Dave Allen just used experience, and you can't just get experience in 6 months. Dave's got a lot of years ahead. So
Yeah, potentially, but it was still close, and he can tweak a few things, work on a few things, and if you're really diligent, 5, 6 months, you can make massive improvements.
hmm,
So it just depends on how he's prepared. Obviously, Mark Tibbs is a great trainer. So, it's how he can apply those adjustments.
absolutely. And just looking at the top of the heavyweight division, we've just seen the announcement recently of Oleksandr Usyk versus Daniel Dubois too. You were sparring Daniel Dubois in the build-up to his fight with Joseph Parker, so you've probably seen the freshest version of Dubois compared to most of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
From what you saw in those spars, how big of a chance does he have this time round compared to that first fight with Usyk?
To be honest, quite similar, maybe quite similar. He's gonna have more confidence. I know he's gonna have more confidence, but I've sparred the boy many times like over the years, and he's a strong, got a good jab. Uh, Not really too much difference. I haven't really seen too much difference. I think maybe he's just more confident in the ring, maybe with the opponents. We know he can punch. We know he's got a good jab. Uh, so it might just be a matter of, like I said, confidence in himself.
Hmm.
I don't think he's changed massively, but he's just confident.
Away from Daniel's confidence, what have you noticed that's been different since he started working with Don Charles and Kieran Farrell?
I haven't really been watching that hard, to be honest. It's just the opponents he's had the night. I think technically he looks it's very similar sort of thing. He's always had a good shape, good stance. Obviously he's been working on things. Um, but maybe it's just small instructions from the corner team and small things that maybe he's just reacting to differently. But I don't think he's changed his style or anything like that massively.
Would you say that Don Charles and Kieran Farrell have brought the best out of Daniel Dubois since he's gone over to them?
Yeah, you'd say so because look at the results he's had since going to there. I think they're getting the best out of him. I think they're like Kieran Farrell is very lively with the pads and stuff. Someone that likes to get him going, and you can see it like when I was sparring him. He's warming up. He's getting the bois. Firing up before the spars. Getting a bit quick, having a little play around, bit of wrestling. Quick sharp pad stuff like that. Bringing a bit of energy in. Like I could see that he was bringing a bit of energy. Farrell was, which is something probably that's good for him.
What is it like being in the ring with Daniel Dubois, especially recently since this confidence has been found in him? What is that task like of having to navigate your way around a ring with Daniel Dubois opposite you?
To be honest, I was comfortable, not like saying it was easy, but I was comfortable and confident in there. I was working on what I was got to work on. You've obviously got to be wary. He's got a solid jab, and you know about it when he catches you the jab. He's a strong guy, but I was just working the same way as he was working. To be honest with you,
And if I was to ask you for a prediction on how this rematch goes between Usyk and Dubois, what would you say and why?
if I'm honest, Usyk, you can't really go against Usyk. He's
Mm.
beat all the top fighters twice, multiple times. He's already beat the boy. He's stopped him. So you can't just automatically say the boy's beat a few guys. He's going to beat him. When Usyk's beat everybody and beating the top guys, Tyson Fury. When you beat Tyson Fury twice, close fights. You're some serious champion. You know what I mean? So it's a very tall order for the boy, but he's gonna go for it. I think he's just gonna go for it tomorrow.
Do you feel he can take any confidence away from the first fight with the controversial low blow? Some people still say legal shot, some say low blow. Do you think he can take any confidence from that, or just leave that?
Not much. You're clutching at straws there because you're not gonna get in with that kind of shot again. Usyk's not the kind of man to, even if it was low or wasn't low, he's not the kind of man that's, look at all the fights he's had. He's not really, he's had top fighters that can't put really that much of a dent into him. And the fight on the whole, Usyk did stop the bar. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like with conventional boxing, you know what I mean? Like no controversy about it. So you'll be clutching at straws to hope that you're going to hit him with one wonder punch again. But
Mm.
you always got that puncher's chance.
Fair enough. Well, Solomon, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time. Good to catch up,
So,
and hopefully we
yeah,
can see you back in the ring soon. Thank you.
definitely, man. Hopefully, thank you very much. Appreciate it.